welcome to KMU CYS Tutorials, Lesson 3, Viewing, Creating and Editing Files. I'm your presenter, Evans Devanche Palia. Okay, so now we'll be viewing, creating, editing files, and this section basically sounds exactly like what it is. So we're going to talk about how to view, create and edit files. Mainly, we're just going to be showing you how to create quick text documents, but I'll teach you commands that will allow you to do further in the future as you see as we get further in the course and get into scripting. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the commands that we're going to learn in this lesson. Okay, so now we're going to learn the echo command, which echoes what we write back out of the terminal. We're going to look at the cut command, which basically is going to print out a document for us. It's similar to the way you type in Windows. So we'll talk about replacing versus appending, and which function does which and how to do it. We'll talk about the touch command, which can be used to create a file on a fly, and we'll talk about nano as well, which is a text editor that's built into the terminal. And then we're going to talk about gedit, which is also a text editor, but it is a GUI text editor. So we do get a little bit of GUI in this lesson. So let's go ahead and dive right into our lesson. So let me just bring up our terminal. Okay, so we're going to be talking, what are we going to be talking about today? Let me just put on my password here. So as I said earlier, we're going to be talking about viewing, creating and editing files. So I've already showed you the echo command, right? If you recall, we used echo to create a file. We created hello.txt and we can just echo hello out of the terminal and we can say basically hello.txt. For example, if I want to create a file, as I said, I can just say hello, then I will just basically append. Let me just say a.txt. Okay, so now here if I just cut the file which I've created, you can see there I have an hello.txt. Okay, so basically it echoes back to us. If I want, I can just say echo hello. As you can see, echo command, it is echoing back to us. Whatever we put in, it will now basically echo back. Okay, so what I want you to know is that we can use echo, to come up with a text file, and we can put things inside our echo. Okay, so a very important command there. So now say that here, let me just list. Okay, so we have a file a.txt, and if I cut what is inside our file, we can see that we have hello. So now let me say I want to add something. I want to add some text into the a.txt. What can I do? So I can basically echo again and say hello again. Okay, then I pipe it that same file. Okay, now let me see if I will have 2 lines of the contents which I've written. Let me now cut a.txt. Oh, so now you can see that that content which we have hello has been overwritten. Okay, it has been overwritten. So now we can avoid that by doing what we call appending. Okay, we can append to a text file without overwriting what is inside that particular content. So for me to avoid overwriting what I have in my text file, I can just say echo. So let me just say hello again. Okay. So now I will use this two pipe command. I will use this two pipe greater than sign. Okay. Then I will say a.txt. Okay. So now let me cut. I see if the content inside the text file has not been overwritten. Okay, great. Now you can see that we have hello again and we have hello again. So now we can put things inside our echo or inside our a.txt file using echo and using these two greater than symbols if we want to append. Because if we use a single greater than sign, meaning everything which is in that particular text file will be overwritten. Okay, so a very important command there which we need to take note. Okay, so appending is very important when it comes to overwriting, or we don't want to overwrite what is inside that particular file. So very important command there. So we've talked about echo and we've talked about cut, which is basically just it is viewing what is inside that particular content. Now let's talk about some other ways to create a file. Okay, so the first way in which we have created a file is by using echo. So now let's look at another way in which we can basically create a file. So we can use something called touch, and to say something called like a new file. Let me just list what is on my directory. You can see that, okay, we have used text file. Now in this case I will use touch to create another file. Okay, so let's just say touch and then say for example incognito. Let me say incognito dot text. Okay, so I press enter. So now as you can see, you can list. Okay, so great. So I've seen that, okay, we have used a touch command. Okay, we can use as well a touch command to basically create a file. And if you want to see something, we can just say cut to see what is inside that particular file. Okay, so nothing. Okay, at the moment it is empty, so there's pretty much nothing, as you can see, because we haven't put anything yet. So basically there's a few things that we can do. We could use echo and we can append that particular file so that we could put things inside it. Okay, again there is another tool which we can use to create a text file. This tool is called Nano. So now Nano is just a terminal text editor. There are a lot of terminal text editors like Vim, a lot. Okay, there are a lot of text editors. Some people have their preferences, so I encourage you to just play around with any of these tools you wish. Okay, then at the end of the day you can choose your best text editor which you can use, but for this course we are going to be using Nano. So if let me just say Nano. Okay, let me just say Nano, then let me just say new file dot text. Okay, new file dot text. So now you can see here that I could just basically type whatever I want. Okay, so I can just type whatever I want. For example, I can just type this is a simple text file created using nano. Okay, so this is a simple text file which is created using nano. Then I can say something like welcome to KMU underscore CYS tutorials. Okay, so now we're going to be using nano. Nano is a very powerful text editor. So now here I can just say Control X to exit, then Y for saving. Okay, then now I can press enter. That's it. Let me just clear out my terminal here. Now I can just list up. So let me just view what I've now created using nano. That new file.txt. So now we can see that here we can view the contents which we have written inside nano, as you can see. So nano is a very powerful text editor which you can use, especially when it comes to bash scripting. We'll be using nano most of the times. So another way of basically using or creating a file, there's another way which you can use. So we have what we call basically gedit. Okay, so let me just confirm. Let me just see if I really have that particular text editor. So I have gedit. Okay, so let me just say gedit text.txt. Okay, so now it's loading. Okay, so now this is our gedit. So gedit is more like in a GUI, or I can say in a graphical way side of things. So here GUI is more like a text editor. Another very good text editor here, GUI, which is basically good for those people who like basically interacting with Kali Linux using a GUI side of things. So if you don't want to use touch, if you don't want to use nano, you can use gedit as well, which is basically also great when it comes to scripting as well as writing Python codes. So this is a very good text editor as well. So great. So now a few commands I just want to show you here. So now what you need to know is that there are 4 common usage of cat. Okay. At first we just looked at cat. We said okay, cat can be used to view files. That's what we said. We said that cat can be used to view files, but cat has 4 common usage. So now the first one is that it can display a file, as we saw. It can concatenate or combine, in other words, multiple files. It can echo text, and it can also be used to create a new file. Okay, so the most common use of a cat command is to output the contents of the file. That's the most common use of cat, as we saw earlier, as I was just using cat to see the output of that particular file in the content. So now let's look at just basically some of our examples that you can try out with echo. So let me just go again. Let me just say echo. Okay. So some more commands I just want to show you. So let me just say echo. And then let me just say hack. Okay. So now let me just pipe it to. Let me call it James cat.txt. Okay, so now let me just say cat james.txt. Okay, so for autocomplete you can just press tab. Okay, so now we can see that cat has outputted or has displayed the things which are inside this text file. Okay, so now the previous example is actually a specific case of cat command main function. So another cat command which you can use is that cat command can concatenate, or so to say it can combine in other ways files for display. So if we use the command in the same way, but it is basically giving us two or more files, then we can output the concatenation of those particular files. Let me show you an example what I mean by this. Okay, so now let me show you what I mean by saying concatenation or combine. Okay, so let me just say echo. Okay, let me just say echo. So I want to show you that what cat can do. So let me just say echo. Then now here we can just say this is how we do it. Okay, so here I'll just name it test1. Okay, test1. Then I'll just say again echo. But there, made a mistake. So echo. Then here inside, I can just say something like this is how it goes. Okay, I can also pipe it to test2. Okay, test2. So now let me just press enter. I can list. So as you can see here, I have test1 and test2. Now I said cat can concatenate, or it can combine two text files or more. So if I want to view things which are inside test1 and test2, I can just say cat test1 test2. Okay, so now you can see that cat command has viewed all these contents in test1 and test2. Okay, so if I want again, I can just say cat a.txt. Again, I can say incognito.txt, james.txt, test1.txt. So test1. Okay, then also have test2. Okay, so now have you seen what cat command can do? So cat command can concatenate, or it can combine all these text files and view what is inside. So inside a.txt we have these contents, inside incognito we have this content, inside this one we have this content. So this is what basically cat command can do when I talk about concatenating. Okay, so now let's now talk about what other thing cat command can do. So now another quick trick I want to show you is that if I echo something, okay, if I just basically echo something, then I can pipe, that, then I can say cat. Okay, so this is just basically another trick which cat command can be used to basically cut what is in echo. Okay, so now we can also use cat in an interactive mode. Okay, we can use cat in an interactive mode. Hence, let me now say that cat command can be used to create a file as well, but in this case it can be used in an interactive mode. What do I mean? So let me now create a file using cat command. So cat command can do a lot of things. It can display, concatenate, it can also create a file. So let me create a file using cat. So I'll just say cat example.txt. Okay, so my bad there. I made a mistake. My bad. So let me type it again. So I can say cat example. Okay. Let me clear out the terminal. So let me say cat example.txt. Okay, it seems like I made a mistake somewhere. Okay, great. So now this is what we mean by saying you can create a file using cat. So here I've said cat, and then I pipe it to the text file which I've created. So I've said cat, then greater than symbol, then example.txt. So now I'm in what I can call interactive mode. Okay. So now here I can just type whatever I want. Okay. Here I can type whatever I want. I can type whatever I like. Okay. Then now, if I'm done, satisfied with what I'm typing, I can just click Control and then C. Okay. So now let me try to list if that file has been created. Now you can see that we have created a file. You have created a file example.txt. Then you can view that particular file which was created using cat. So cat can create a file and it can also display the content inside that particular file. So here is what I've basically created, you know. So that's really an overview of what I wanted to cover in this course. So just know that you can create files using echo, using touch, cat. Again, you can actually create files using nano as well. So you can use all these tools in different ways to create files, you know. So again, it's completely up to you what you want to do. So just know that we are going to be using this a lot, and try to get just comfortable with these commands. So from here we're going to be moving on into controlling curly services. So I'm just going to briefly talk about what services are, what you need to know about services, the services which you need to keep running on boot, and how to do that. Okay, so next lesson we'll look at controlling curly services. We'll cover managing services on Kali Linux, including enabling and disabling services on boot. Until next time, my name is Evans Devanshawada, and I thank you for being with me.